A few months since the initial launch in December, we are now at the start of a hard-hitting Season 2 of the finals. The first season of the finals had its up and downs as you would expect, from placing turrets on top of barrels and carrying it around, to the nuke meta where players would stick C4 to explosive barrels and toss them at enemies for insta-kills. Both of which did get patched out, but we did have to wait until the start of Season 2 for the nuke meta to be patched out completely. This time around we get 3 new weapons, 1 for each class, 4 new gadgets, a new map, a new experimental 5v5 mode, and the first iteration of private matches. So let's run down the list, talk about the good, the bad, and the insane, and while we're at it, if you're enjoying this video so far, please leave a like and consider subscribing for more videos more often. The current goal is to hit 500 subscribers before the end of this month, and I got a bit of catching up to do. Let's kick off with the 5v5 game mode, Power Shift, which plays similarly to the Clash game mode in Overwatch 2. In Power Shift, you are in a tug-of-war battle for a floating, moving objective, with all the destruction that the finals has to offer, including the objective rolling through buildings within its predetermined path throughout the arena. I've been having a lot of fun running this game mode with how freeing it is to use any setup you would like, without feeling like you're being a burden on your team. Whether you're a heavy player who likes to hunker down and cause mayhem, or a light player who wants to snipe players at a distance, just about anything can work out in this mode. That said, there are some possible balancing troubles with this mode, where if one team is running 3 heavies with shields, the objective becomes untouchable against uncoordinated teams. On the dev side, I don't know what they could do to make the shield play less potent in this mode, and I don't really think it needs to be changed. If the opposing team uses explosives, gas, and fire grenades, that can help tear down those shields quickly and start unloading on the enemies directly. It may take some time for people to realize this, so do play with some patience and try to bring some extra firepower yourself to handle it if you see this happen. I was fortunate to not run into 3+ shields on the objective that often, so don't count out the game mode after 1 or 2 bad games. This 5v5 game mode needs to stay in this game. It's a very different dynamic from the regular modes, and something about 5v5 just feels right at home with the gameplay and the player abilities that the finals has to offer. I do hope to see more 5v5 type game modes in the future of the finals. With Season 2, we get a new map for the regular modes, which is Horizon, a glitchy and colorful map with a fair amount of verticality. The building interiors remind me of the Vegas map with how they're laid out, but it's not an exact copy-paste. The map is nice to look at, but the lack of textures and objects can kinda give an empty feeling within the buildings, or a funhouse type of feel. From a gameplay perspective, I don't have any strong opinions about it. From what I played, the map seems serviceable, and who knows, since the map is supposed to be a glitch, maybe we'll see it transform sometime later down the road. Moving on to the next topic, we get our first look into private lobbies for the finals. This may not sound like a big deal for many of you, but this can be the start for private tournaments, and other community-based events that can bring the finals into the limelight. The community has been asking for private lobbies since launch, and now the devs have a working version of it. One good look at the finals and what it offers shows it's trying to cater to the esports scene. Now that the game has private lobbies, that esport community can start to grow, and host events on their own without running into common matchmaking issues from queuing into regular matches, and be able to organize players to be in the same lobby. The developers did mention that this is not a fully fleshed out system, and will be receiving updates and features throughout the season. This is a great first step, and I do hope the devs can expand on this as soon as possible. This season starts off with 4 new gadgets, 1 for the light class, 2 for medium class, and 1 for the heavy class, so let's go in order from light to heavy. The new gadget for the light class is called Gateway, which allows the player to create a limited range portal between 2 locations. And while you may not be able to see what's on the other side of that portal, you can throw items through it, with exception to the objectives like the cash out station. This is a nifty gadget that can have some novel use. I'm sure people far more creative than I am will be able to figure something out. Regardless, this is going to give the light class another way to evade combat and help out the team while doing so. For the medium class, there is the dematerializer gadget that temporarily erases physical surfaces like walls and ceilings, allowing players to put holes in buildings without destroying them. The player can open and close the gadget's ability whenever they like, but each action of opening and closing these portals costs a charge, and the gadget holds 3 charges at a time. So if you do run into a scenario where having the building be intact is more beneficial than burning it all down, using this dematerializer can lead to some brain-melting 200 IQ plays. The second gadget the medium class gets access to is the Data Reshaper. This gadget transforms objects and enemy equipment into something else. If you do run into an annoying turret, tossing the gadget at it can turn the turret into a chair, for instance. Again, it's another neat way to manipulate the arena without being overly destructive. And lastly, the new gadget for the heavy class is the anti-gravity cube. As the name implies, it lifts players and objects up in the air. It can work as both a way to get around the arena and act as an obstacle for enemy players. The cube can be destroyed, so use that to your advantage and turn on the gravity when enemies try to chase you down. Overall, these gadgets have some cool concepts and will require a different way of thinking compared to what we've had at the start. I'm sure most of them will be very useful, and if anything, it can encourage players to try out a different meta and use something new. Moving on to weapons, the medium class gets access to the Famas, an easy-firing 3-shot burst rifle that's been very rewarding to use. The max size is 27 rounds, allowing for a full 3-round burst every time, and has very minimal recoil. The damage output is great, and I recommend trying it out. One of the few downsides is that the Famas does have a trigger delay between bursts, so it may not be the best rifle up close. You may want to equip a gadget or two that can help with escaping gunfights. It's a solid weapon overall, and one of the easiest rifles to use in this game. And unfortunately, that's the only standout weapon of the bunch. The light class now has a 93R burst pistol, which is a lazier and less effective version of the V20 pistol. I'm sure other players may have a better time using the burst pistol, but I tend to be more accurate with the V20 and lining up each shot. Burst weapons are just not that great at close range for this game, but the upside to the 93R is it does delete people if they're less than 100 health. Maybe you will have better luck with it than I do, but I'll pass on this one. And the heavy class gets the KS-23 Slug Shotgun. With shotguns using slug rounds, you won't have the typical spread that you would get from other shotguns, and from what I've been hearing online, a lot of people are not enjoying the shotgun all that much. Since I'm not a heavy class player, and I stay away from most shotguns, I don't have any real input on this one, so let me know what your experience has been using the KS-23. Overall, this is a great start to the next new season of the finals. Along with this update, there's also a list of changes made to existing gadgets and weapons, such as the C4 dealing less damage and decreasing the dome shield duration time from 20 seconds to 12 seconds. I don't want to read off each change directly, so on screen is the list of these changes, and you can read for yourself on the game's Steam page. The new weapons, besides the Famas, are a bit disappointing to me, but I know this game is going to be very selective of what kind of weapons we get to try and maintain a balance. And of course, a new season means a new battle pass to grind through, a new contract system, and a few new shops if you're interested in customizing your character. Let me know what your experience has been for the new season of the finals, and what you'd like to see be added to this game. Thank you for getting this far in the video. Don't forget to leave a like if you haven't already, and help me reach the current goal of hitting 500 subscribers. Until then, I am Mr. Rain, and I'll see you in the arena.